Just keep on trucking. What an inspirational man. Strong horse, too. Don't take my word for it. Acquiring Dads, he has open appointments. He would like to discuss the power of this noble hero. I'll let him know, don't worry. No rush. One of the things I don't want to say desensitized because I don't want to disrespect this term, but honestly, I've been reflecting upon, since I was a little kid, the term pay attention really has been something that I'm so used to hearing that I don't think too much about it. Like, genuinely pay attention, right? Because, and PSA, respect your teachers, be respectful in general. But you grow up in grade school and you hear it all the time from teachers and faculty, pay attention kids. Now kids, pay attention. You hear it in media. It was Iruka Sensei's signature aerial move in Naruto Clash of Ninja. He would go, pay attention. I grew up with that term being one for one with teachers trying to, get kids to listen. But really, I've been thinking more and more lately about what is paying attention. And I think, especially now, where attention spans can be so low, and that's not just my word for it, it's a growing concern. This kind of circles back to pay respect to teachers, because that term needs to be said even more. I think we live in a world where there's so many small distractions that can go on. If you're not satisfied with something in the first few seconds, you can click on the next thing or scroll on the next thing. And so this form of instant gratification, seeking instant validation, can create an environment where paying attention becomes even more rare. So I've really stopped to think, what is paying attention? What is giving time? And I remember one of the early topics of things I wanted to talk about here was when I had coworkers that I was just listening to their current issues. I left to go change some soda in the back room, and I come back and I remember that they both were complimenting my listening skills. Like, what? What are you talking about? And what an odd compliment in the best way possible, where one of them said, Pete, you're doing what we... They basically said, Pete, you're doing what we wish our past relationships would do. And I was like, what, listen? And they're like, yes. And I go, okay, that's concerning. Like, that shouldn't be a rarity. Just actively listening. This goes back to how many people in conversations act like they listen, but they already have their response ready and they start interrupting. And it's tough. It's tough to... I think conversation is an art form where there are people out there that like to talk, though. And so it's like, to me, where's the middle ground of being respectful, but needing to understand that maybe some people are just talking just to say things, but they're not actually valuing a conversation. And I think that's more rare. I think it's more rare to have someone like that. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Rather than, I think more people, it's important to work on active listening skills, paying attention. And it's interesting, as I thought about paying attention lately, it's a big part of the character I made in Team Fortress 2. With Pyro, your main job is to protect the medic and protect your team in general. You are the overall strongest bodyguard in the game. You can fend people off with your compression blasts. You can make good mid-range, close-range spacing. You're a huge threat there in terms of damage. Your flare guns can deter characters like snipers or scouts scouting. There's a lot of different opportunities you have to protect your team. It also comes down to paying attention. People talk about game sense. And when it comes to paying attention, there's a class that's all about capitalizing on people that don't, which is the spy. By playing the spy, you get an instant kill if you backstab any opponent, right? And so the fact that you can cloak and disguise yourself, get behind enemy lines, and then get a backstab and kill someone is pretty good. You can chain stab, get multiple kills if they're not paying attention. At a top level and competitive, it's kind of a trade-off. It's interesting that on one end, because top level players tend to have really high game sense and they communicate through microphone and headphones, usually, they will usually tell where the spot of the spy is ASAP. Maybe you get a backstab. That's the thing. At a top level, you might get spy checked all the time. It's part of my job to spy check a decent amount. Also just check for threats in general against the opposing team. But if you go for a play as spy, you might die pretty fast. On the opposite end, because in at least competitive RGL and European TF2 League, you're required to be on the microphone. You're required to be on a voice chat. So as the spy player, you can pay attention to your opponents paying or not paying attention and communicate that. You can cloak and spy. Actually go in full 007 mode where you're saying, oh, their soldier and scout are not on the flank right now. So now your soldier and scout know to take the flank. Maybe you can crumble in on the opponent's medic and the combo around the medic. There's a lot of fun opportunities, and it's paying off to pay attention. But that's also the fun part about competitive games, is you're paying attention when on average a ton of bullets and grenades and rockets are flying everywhere. It's pretty crazy. And so as a pyro, from my perspective, is if I stress about the opposing spy, whether it's competitive where there's only one of each class, or it's in a casual server where I can't guarantee that there's even a spy on their team, or there could be 3, paying attention can be helpful. But if I'm now, basically, if I start stressing about when's the spy gonna show up, I am now missing opportunities of, oh, the soldier bombed in and killed our medic. Soldier can kill from above. If I'm worrying too much about spy, oh, I missed a sniper sight line because I was spy checking the medic's back over and over. I was spending ammo, my time, and my attention for a spy that might not even be there. So this, they call it spy time, in competitive, because there's one of each class. Once the spy dies, as the pyro, and I think in general every team member, but mainly the pyro's job is to keep mental track of right after the spy respawns, comes back, where is the mental track of, okay, by now the spy should be walking 2 blocks and will be right next to my medic in 3 seconds, right? That's a big skill ceiling, is spy time, predicting when they're there. Well, what if they're not there? What if they know that you're looking for them? And so the fun part about paying attention is you pay attention not just like to when the spy shows up, but the habits of the individual player. There's this thing I've been trying to work on more and more, whether it's a spy or any class, when they kill me or if I kill them, I look at the kill feed at the top right and take note of their name. Because if I can take note of their name, that gives me information on how they play. We all press buttons differently, and so paying attention to how those buttons are pressed can take you a long way as a competitor. It's like that in sports. In NFL, one of the big things about Coach Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes as such a good tag team for the Kansas City Chiefs is, and I still think it's an underrated factor, is how much they coordinate adaptation. And so what happens is they will show up with plan A at the start of a game, and they will act like plan A is their wild card. And, Patrick Mahomes is a go big or go home player. Coach Andy Reid knows when to play conservatively and progressively in general. But when plan A isn't working, you can tell that they have plans B to Z ready. And sometimes they jump right to plan X. At the end of the alphabet here, they're ready to do a wild card play by paying attention to the opposition. It's not just in the game, too. They are paying attention to opposing teams and how they play other games. And I think that's a big stretch to paying attention in general. It's not just paying attention to what's around you right now. It's paying attention to what's around you in the past and predicting the future, but not being upset if your expectations aren't met. So when I'm playing TF2 and I'm spy checking and there's no spy, now I need to quickly redirect to saying, okay, but where's the sniper? Okay, where's the soldier? Where's the scout, right? Where's their enemy combo with the medic, demo man, heavy? Where's their pyro? Being able to not just only pay attention, but know where to spend paying that attention can take you a long way, whether it's in TF2 or conversations catching up with friends and family members. I love Mondays.